Concept 6, choosing and creating an appropriate display. Alright, so for this we are looking at when we're given a data table or a list of data, what type of graph makes the most sense to fit that data. Okay, how am I going to represent this data best? Alright, we've got our three general graph types. Okay, bar graph, line graph, circle graph, and each of them are better at different things. So a bar graph is good at comparing different categories. A line graph is good at looking at change, especially change over time. A circle graph is good at showing parts of a whole or percentage of a whole. Okay, so when I look at my 4 data tables here, and I can not quite get all of them on the screen at the same time, I'm going to look through here and I'm going to be looking for those 3 things. Okay, which one has different categories? Actually, we will do this. Which one has a whole bunch of different categories? Which one shows change over time? And which one has parts or percentage of a whole? Okay, so if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at genders in sports. Okay, so the number of students in different sports. Well, this looks like my categories, right? I've got all these different sports, and they're all sports, but they're definitely separate. Okay, so we're not really showing the same thing. So these are different categories, which means that this is going to be a bar graph. Okay, and because we have 2 separate variables, right? We've got all our sports, but then we've got our male numbers and we've got our female numbers. We've got 2 data sets to compare. Okay, so we're going to have to make this a double bar graph. All right, now if we look at this one, we're looking at time periods and rainfall during those time periods, average rainfall during those time periods, average temperature during those time periods, and we're looking at months, right? So different times of the year. Okay, so right away I see months, I see time, I'm thinking line graph, and yeah, that would make the most sense, because if I start here in August, then I would be coming down to September, right? And then maybe October, November, December, back up to January, back up to February. Okay, so it makes sense that this would be a line graph. All right, and then because I've got 2 data sets, rainfall and temperature, this is going to be a double line graph. Double line. All right, so my other 2 tables, I've got looks like survey results and survey results of parents talking about what they allow their students or how much they control what their students or children can look at or see on the internet. Okay, questions like that. Okay, and as soon as I see percentages, my brain usually goes to circle graphs, right? Because circle graphs show us a percentage of a whole. However, with this whole set of data, all right, this is more than 100%. So this isn't showing us percentages of one whole. Okay, this one question has a percentage of a whole. Okay, 68% of parents control or try and control what internet sites their children can visit. Okay, but 32% don't, or at least say they don't on this survey. Okay, so each one of these questions could be a circle graph, but putting all this data together, this would be probably better as a bar graph. Okay, and it honestly might not even be something that can be represented that well as a graph. This might be the best way to represent it. Okay, how many parents say that they control how much time their child can spend online? Well, 55%. Okay, this shows pretty clearly what is happening. Okay, But if we were going to try and show all of this data together, a bar graph is probably our best bet. Right? And our last one here, this is our the voted most popular types of pizza. Okay, so this is all of the votes together. We have 10 plus 6 plus 4 is 20, plus 7 plus 3 is 30. So I've got 30 total votes, and then I've got the number of votes for each category. All right, so that tells me, okay, I'm looking at the total number of votes for these things, for the different types of pizza. So this is going to be a good circle graph. Okay, this is going to be a circle. Okay. This one I would say is sometimes the easiest to make mistakes on, whether something should be in a circle graph. And if you ever look at graphs that are not very reliable, or that are not reliable. Okay, they're trying to make you think something that the data isn't really backing up. Circle graphs are often responsible for that. Okay, and we'll look at that later in this chapter. But that's one of those things that you got to be careful of, is circle graphs.